Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another episode of Final Fantasy. When last we left off, we were in Elfheim, but now we are somewhere else entirely. We are up here, and Elfheim is, well, here. And I said that we were going to go up here because, well, I was going to show off what was here. Or I was thinking about it, but I decided to, basically. So, let's go in, shall we? God, I keep forgetting that the circle pad doesn't move. This is Matoya's Cave. There's a moving broom, like in Fantasia. Is that the Disney movie? I think it is. Frontwards, backwards, any way you see. Such a strange spot of Swissery. Okay. What is that? Celis Natob Hasad Swisheroo? Yeah, I don't know. Thump. Ouch! It's just like, my eye. Ouch! I can't see a blasted thing without my crystal eye. Who could have stolen it from me? My eye. I think you can get something in one of the pots around here, maybe? Hell, that might be an entirely different game than I'm thinking of with, oh, no, there's just chests in here. An antidote, a potion, and a broom in my way, and another potion. Not bad. I think that's everything I want to show off here. So, I guess next time I will be back, or not next time, in just a moment I will be back in Elfheim with the regularly scheduled part. See you in just a moment. And back. Okay. I've gone to Elfheim. I've actually done a little bit of shopping. I bought some magic spells. I think I bought Blind Nun, Viz for Rosa, and I bought Temper and Slow for Vivi. So, now it is time for us to make our way back to the castle. That's what it's called. Yes, I remember things. No, I don't. I was actually going to cut until we're there, but I didn't want to level up off screen again because they're pretty close. It's not like immediate, but it's I want to say 500 something experience points, which is definitely doable between now and then, especially with my sense of direction. And, well, it's not going to take too much time. Yeah, that's 6 encounters at most. But that will give me a chance to talk about something that I had. I know last time I finished off by talking about games to introduce yourself to the Final Fantasy series, and I'd said like 1, 6, 7, and 10. I don't think I gave my reasoning much on 6. And 6 is just because it's a super easy game. It's easy to break even if you don't know what you're doing. Like I broke 6 my first time playing through it. Had no idea what I was doing. I just broke it. Just because it's easy. Another game in the Final Fantasy series that's easy to break is 5. But 5 is only easy to break if you know what you're doing. If you don't know what you're doing and don't plan stuff out, then you're actually going to have a pretty difficult time with 5, in my opinion. My first time through it, I had a hell of a time on the final boss, because I just kind of leveled up how I thought it would be fun or interesting, or fit a theme, like one character doing all of the, like, white and support sort of magic, another character doing all the offensive kind of magic, or offensive and debuff kind of magic, and then one as, like, a thiefy, speedy character, and then one as a, not thiefy speedy, I should say, speed or more utility warriors, attackers, like Thief, Ranger, hell, what are they called in that game? Oh god, I can't remember. The Thief, the Ranger class, the one that shoots bows. I think it's a Ranger. I know there's a Bard as well, but that's not the one I'm talking about. Ninja and... oh god. Assassin? Maybe? I'm not very confident in that, though. But maybe it's the Assassin. It's the... because there's the Ninja, which I think lets you throw things. And then there's another one that lets you throw Gil. I think those are two separate classes. I don't remember. I really don't remember. It's been a... well, it's not been a while since I played 5. I actually, what started my replaying the Final Fantasy series last year was playing through 5, because, oops, I couldn't remember if I actually beat the final boss, or if I, got to the final boss and then had emulator issues and couldn't beat it, which did happen, but I don't remember if I fixed the emulator issues or not. And it turns out I did, because I remembered the ending. Oh, I should save before I go in there. Yes, let's save. I'm going to spoil something for you. I remember this boss being very difficult. I don't remember what the boss can do. I remember it being hard, but I might... there's an upcoming boss... I'll go in a second, I guess. Hello, King?
You fools fell right into my trap. I am Astos, King of the Dark Elves.
Oh no, we've been betrayed. Color me shocked. The dude sitting in the middle of a dilapidated castle is evil. Oh no.
With combined power of the crown you now hold and the crystal eye I already possess, I will become the true Elf King. It is useless to resist me. I can take what is mine by sheer force.
So I might be confusing this boss with an elf boss from Final Fantasy IV. Can I not use a specific item in this fight? Again, might be confusing it with Final Fantasy IV. I guess I must be. Yeah, I remember this. Again, the elf boss in Final Fantasy IV is quite difficult. I remember him doing a bunch of damage to me and me being really pissed because it was bullshit. Well, I mean, it wasn't. It was a boss and it was a beatable boss, but it was hard, okay? I should protect you, and we'll try this, but I'm pretty sure you're immune to slow. All of the, oh good, death. All of the, I think a majority of the bosses are immune to death. They're immune to slow and, that sort of effects. At least in, yeah, that's what I figured. I know in the later series games, let's see, I'll go to you next. It's useless, I can lower your evasion, but I don't care. I'll just cast big fire at you. Like gravity moves and a lot of the really good debuffs like slow or stomp. Bosses are immune to it. Or are highly resistant. I remember it being really bad in... oh, what Final Fantasy game was that? I think 10, maybe? I remember most of the bosses have a few status effects they're weak to, but it might be, maybe it's 10-2 I'm thinking of. 2000 gil, 1 gained a level, 6 hit points, agility, saving gained a level, 5 hit points, agility, stamina, Rosa gained a level, 3 hit points, 17 MP, hell yeah. Strength, intelligence, Vivi gained a level, 2 hit points, 7 MP, agility, luck. Cool. Cool. We attained the Crystal Eye. Yay. As I mentioned, I love Final Fantasy VI. It is not my favorite game of the series. Going back to what I was talking about before about recommendations, I do think it is a good starting point because of how easy it is. But I do think it has a lot of problems, despite... I mean, Final Fantasy VI has my favorite villain of the series in Kefka, and it has my favorite soundtrack of the series. I don't need you to do anything, and we're going back to town. I might as well waste my magic. Yeah, I'm almost certainly confusing that boss to the boss in Final Fantasy IV, by the way. I think they have a similar design, so there goes my confusion. Final Fantasy VI is my favorite soundtrack of the series, and it's not by far, because 7, 8, 9, 10 have really good soundtracks. 4's soundtrack is overall pretty good, but it's not my favorite. It's not like incredible. It's fantastic, but don't get me wrong again, but it's... I don't think it's as good as, say, 6 or 7 or 10. It actually is probably better than 9, although 9 has a lot of tracks in it that are memorable to me. But a lot of the generic area tracks aren't quite as good in 9. Like Chocobo Hot and Cold theme, the Viva a la Flamenco... No, something a la Flamenco, something with a V, I don't remember what exactly it's called, is one of my favorite tracks, as is the theme for the final dungeon, Memoria, the Brand Ball theme, I love, and it has a lot of throwback tracks. I need to go to the right, yes. It has a lot of throwback tracks, and I really do like Final Fantasy IX soundtrack as a whole. It's just, a lot of the ambient tracks from... that I remember anyway, just aren't quite as good as some of the other games in the series. I think 8 has a very good soundtrack. It is actually underrated in my opinion. The final dungeon theme is one of my favorites of the series. I think it's just called The Castle. The idea of the final dungeon in Final Fantasy VIII is also fantastic. I don't like Eyes on Me, though that more... there might be more because of the contents of the scene that it is in, as opposed to the actual song itself, but I don't think it's a very good song. I don't like generic pop anyway, so I'm biased, of course. But I just don't think it's a very good song. But still, the Final Fantasy VIII soundtrack is really good, and is the biggest redeeming factor that that game has. The others being... well, I'm not going to go into a big Final Fantasy VIII rant here. This is not the place for it. But it is... I do recommend the game at least trying it. It's... the drawing system isn't great, but... I hiccup. The drawing system isn't great. Final Fantasy VIII is a game of good ideas that I think fell flat. Do I actually want to rest at the end before I go? Yeah, I might as well. Although it's expensive. We're going up north anyway, so we're going to go to Cornelia, where it's only... shit. Where it's only 30 gold to stay the night, because I'm cheap. Oops, almost... I thought I accidentally pushed my pause recording button. That would have been annoying. Yeah, I do think that all of the games in the series have an argument for a starting... most of the games of the series have a good argument for a starting point. 1, 4, 6, 7, technically 8, although I really can't in good nature recommend 8 as a starter for the series. I cannot recommend 9 as a starter for the series. Not because of any badness of it, but I think one of the ways to best appreciate Final Fantasy IX is to have played other games of the series and be a fan of the other games in the series. Final Fantasy IX is a love letter to the earlier Final Fantasy games. It is essentially the end of an era, and that's one of the reasons why it's my favorite of the series, is because it takes a lot of the good things of the earlier games and, well, puts it in one package. I think 10 is a good starting point. 10 it's a really good story. It's the first game of the more modern style of Final Fantasy games. it's a good game. It has a good story. The sphere grid system's difficult, but 11's an MMO. I don't even know if it's still supported. I don't like MMOs. I've never played 11 or 14 because I don't like MMOs. 12 is an interesting starting point. If you like MMOs, you might like 12 more. It's very in this style of MMOs of that time period. I think it came out in 2004 or 5, I believe. It has a fantastic story, and save for a few of them, the characters are fantastic. And Balthier is one of the best characters in the series. Of course, he's the leading man. It's kind of hard not to be. And then 15, I actually believe, is, despite the problems that the game has, I think it's an enjoyable, fine enough game. It is a good starting point to the Final Fantasy series, if you've never played the Final Fantasy series. If you've played the Final Fantasy game before, I think there are other better choices to go into than moving directly to 15, but I think 15 is not a bad place to start.
Oh, what's this? My crystal eye. Give it here. Don't worry. I have something to give you in exchange. Take this potion. It's my most amazing potion in my entire collection.
Ooh, Jolt Tonic. More fetch quests for us. What can this do?
I can see again.
And my knee pops. And what does the Volt Tonic do? Oops. Serum to break even the deepest sleep. How lovely. Well, we know somebody that's asleep, so let's go try giving it to them, shall we? And we backtrack some more. And that is one of my problems with this game, is there's a lot of backtracking. It is a JRPG of its era. There's a lot of backtracking. And it is also inspired by D&D and tabletop games of that era, and it's a lot of tabletop games in that era, especially D&D was, well, go into a dungeon, get the shit, get out, go claim your reward, and so on and so forth. I'm not saying that it's a bad thing, I'm just saying that that's what it is. I personally do happen to enjoy those type of games, but not as my main sort of game. Sorry, I was taking a sip of my wine. Which I guess that does lead me to my next point, is I enjoy D&D, as I've mentioned, and I'm sure is very clear at this point. I'm also a fan of D&D, other media podcasts and stuff. I've listened to a fair few over the years, but the only one I consistently go to is Critical Role, and for good reason. And there's a lot of other really good ones. Off the top of my head, there's the Red Moon Roleplay, although they do other things other than D&D. I don't know how much they've actually done D&D. They're really good from what I've listened to. I think Dungeons and Randomness was not a bad one. Not another D&D podcast, or just another D&D podcast, whatever it's called. I remember being pretty good. It's over to my left. Okay. But yeah, Critical Role is one of the ones I go back to. I am more or less caught up with the series, but Critical Role is my, basically, if I'm doing something, but I can still have something on as background noise and kind of pay attention to it, that's Critical Role for me. That is my, I want to watch something. I'm playing a game that I've played before 100 times, like Spyro, or, one of the early Final Fantasy games. I can pop on Critical Role in the background and, play through it, and I'm half paying attention to both. And I've been rewatching Campaign 1, because I'm caught up on Campaign 2. Well, technically, as of recording, they are recording this episode. They are live streaming episode 122. So there's that. So I have not watched that as of recording this, but as of upload, I will have. I watch it on Mondays when it's uploaded, or Tuesdays, depending on I'm busy. I need to talk to you. I can't. Hello there. This Jolt Tonic may be just what we need to break the curse to awaken the prince. I'll try it at once. And the screen fades to white, and it's assumed that he administered the potion. Your Highness, Your Highness.
was having a terrible nightmare. Am I still dreaming? You're the legendary warriors. Something tells me I'm not dreaming. I shall follow the legend as it has been foretold to me and my forefathers. The time for me to pass on the mystic key to its rightful owners has come at last.
Cool. We get a fancy key, and we have a couple of different places to take this. Well, we have the Mystic Marsh. Fuck, what is a Mystic Marsh? Is that a spiral level?
I am awake and strong again, all because of you. Thank you, warriors of light.
I guess talk to you, I guess.
Thank you. Thanks to you, the princess finally awoken. You have my undying gratitude. You've brought peace back to Elfheim.
I've been watching it, and I'm on episode 26, I think, is the episode I started, late this afternoon. I only watched maybe 45 minutes of it. Actually, no, I think at the time I started, it would have been evening. But I've really noticed something I didn't notice before, even though I knew about it before I even started the show. Oh, hello there. The treasure house has been bound by the mystic key. Thank you. A mithril hammer, 800 gil, 700 gil, bronze gloves. Not bad. I'm noticing the tension between the rest of the cast and 16 attack, not bad. Orion, the voice actor that plays Tiberius, that I didn't notice before. Ooh, I can get level 4 spells now, which means all of my money is about to be gone. I really didn't notice before the tension between them my first time, and I knew that he was leaving when I started the series. He's level 3. But I just didn't pick up on it, I guess. I probably didn't know the mannerisms and sort of how the cast acts and whatnot when I first watched it. Is there anything here I care about? I guess I'll get Poisonette and Vox, actually. But it's really apparent to me now that I'm watching it again. I want Bizarra. Haste is useful, I guess. Let's see if I can sell stuff to get the 1500 gil that I need. I probably won't ever use haste, to be perfectly fair. It's not necessary. Hold on, I need to sort my equipment. There we go. It's not strictly necessary, but it's nice to have. So that. And that 4 gil. Lovely 32 gil. Yep, no, I'm not. I don't think I will be, Did I just sell a... Oh, whatever. I think I just sold something I actually wanted to keep. Well, it's fine. It's fine. I'm the one not paying attention. I did not get, however, 1500 gold, and I'm not like 10 gold short to go grind for it, and I don't care that much. So we're gonna... Well, there's more places to go, so maybe we'll get some money and can come back. Maybe? Nah, who knows. But we have at least one more... do I want to do this now, or... fuck it. I'll go back to the Mystic Cave. Despite my probably better judgment. Yeah, it's really apparent, and it actually was not too bad early on. During the under Craghammer, Mines of Craghammer, or whatever you want to call it, arc, the first arc. There were moments of it towards the end of it where I was kind of iffy, or that's not quite right, or that's not how you should really act in a cooperative fucking game. But it's so much more apparent to me now, and especially now that I'm, much more experienced with tabletop games than I was when I started playing it, because I had not played a ton of tabletop games when I first started the series, and I had never played Dungeons & Dragons. I had only played a couple of other systems. I've now played Dungeons & Dragons. I am the, I guess, go-to expert on D&D, at least 5e rules for my group. I'm the if somebody has a question, if somebody else is dungeon mastering and if somebody else is GMing and they are dungeon mastering 5th edition, I'm the person that tends to be asked about clarification or rules, interactions, or whatnot, because I don't know the rules like perfectly. I don't have the books memorized, but I am the type of person that I want to make things as fair as possible and moving as quickly as possible. And I know the rules well enough that if somebody asks me something and I don't know it, I can come up with something that, it sounds reasonable, it sounds acceptable, and then we can look it up later or whatnot. Or it just becomes homebrew because it was really, really cool and everybody liked it. But I always preface everything. Do I want to use a spell for this? Fuck it, why not? But I always preface when I do that of, I don't know the rule, or I'm not certain if this is how it is, but there is no rule for this, and this is what I would do, stuff like that. But I digress. I can go back to what I was talking about before. It was really kind of jarring to me watching some of the more recent episodes. Like, I'm not in episode 27 yet, which I do remember even my first time through thinking, the fuck. I'm not that far yet, but I'm close. I think there's about 4 hours between me and episode 27. I think episode 26 is like 4:45 or something like that, and I'm at like 30 or 45 into or something. I don't remember. But man, this encounter rate super high. But man, it's noticeable, which is kind of sad because I liked Orion a lot in the early show. When I first watched it, he was probably my favorite character. I like the bumbling Dragonborn voice, and it is a voice that I've used for a character or something similar. Take his Dragonborn voice and mix it with what the fuck are they called? The things, the pig people. No, not the pig people. Like whatever Magello is in Final Fantasy 12, whatever race that is, and that was sort of a voice that I used for a character. It as close to that as I could get with my talents or lack thereof, and that whole thing. But yeah, my own talents notwithstanding, it's just interesting that he was so, I guess, pushy, and then the knowledge of tabletop games helps. Like dungeon. Fuck, I'm an idiot. I went down a. Okay, and wrong way. It helps kind of develop the skills of. There's underlying tension in the way that people are acting, like rolling before the DM calls for a roll is a big one for me. I will allow that sometimes, like, because some of my players know that, like, if they're doing inside, they will call what they're doing. There's like, is he lying, and roll. Because I usually, when people are calling inside, I have multiple people, and I'll very frequently will not stop talking and point at them so they can roll. And that is also group dependent. But it's like, but his whole thing in the cheating to the point where other people are, looking and leaning over and, checking his rolls. And it's just sad because he's done bad things, is my understanding. The only things I know off the top of my head are stealing from a charitable organization, and the claims that he's made. But there's also major drug addiction and cancer diagnosis, I believe, which doesn't excuse a lot. And I know that. And I'm very sympathetic to people like that because of family members and just other people in my own life that have essentially ruined their life with drugs. So there is that. And so I do have a different perspective than some people, and I also have the benefit of not knowing any of the behind-the-scenes stuff or any of that sort of thing. So, toss that in, that I'm outsider looking in with limited information that was not in the fandom at the time of that happening. Level up, 27 hit points. Fuck yeah, strength increase, agility increase, luck. Saving gained a level 5 hit points. Luck, Rosa gained a level 27 hit points. Fuck yeah. 6 MP, Strength, Vivi gained a level 25 hit points. Hell yes. We're finally getting over that 100 hit point level or barrier. 18 MP as well. Intelligence increase, luck increase. All good stuff. And I think, ladies and gentlemen, that this is where I'm going to end off this episode. And if you notice the time in the bottom right being weird, I will very frequently leave this sitting between episodes while I go and get a drink or do something of the sort. And I'm also not sure how the fast forward feature is interacting with the game clock, so that's a thing as well. But anyway, next time, well, we have at least 2 separate places to check out. We have clearing out the, Marsh Cave? Yep, Marsh Cave, as well as, shit, I keep pressing the wrong button, going back to Cornelia. So, I hope you will all join me then.